Finished in second place in 1986. So Kelly is one of the men in this little group here who knows the Giro di Lombardia, though this time it's a somewhat different course than the one that he's ridden on the past. We start in Monza. The race has gone on a great big circuit out around the mountains to come back into Monza to finish the race. And this year, a somewhat less arduous course because they've cut out one of the big hills. The Valcava is not in the race this year, and in fact it was done to a large extent by the organisation to try and induce Gianni Bugno, who lives in Monza, to take part in the race. The world champion would have been on home ground, but unfortunately he's got tendinitis and has been unable to ride, and he didn't want to let his public down by having a go in the race. So it's down to the Italians in this group to try and preserve some dignity for their country. And let's run down that little group. There are 2, 4, 6, 7 of them. In there, Rolf Sorensen for the Adiostea team. Number 77 is Volpi for the Gatorade team. 102 Ballerini in the yellow jersey for the Del Tongo squad. Sean Kelly, we picked him up already for PDM. Marshal Gaon is in there for Toshiba, and Arezze is also in there as well, together with Cornelet, the Z rider. So those are the little group of riders. Arezze, of course, riding for the RMO squad. So we've got a nice mixture. You can pick the colours out there. Kelly on the left-hand side, Ballerini in yellow moving forward. Volpi's in the green, just behind him Arezze in the white and green. There's Cornelet, the blue colours of Z, and just behind them then Aristea's rider bringing up the tail end is Sorensen, and looked like Volpi just in front of him. So the group now 2:45. That really is a tremendous advancement. When we were first looking at the pictures with some 40 kilometres to go, the gap was only 1:25, so they have recently extended their lead considerably. And when they went over the Col Brianza, a little bit of a climb, then there was some problems with the field sticking together as the breakaway group, and they began to splinter quite remarkably. So here we are then with this nice workmanlike group of riders heading on down towards the finish. This is not the most difficult part now because they've got a bit of a climb yet to come, but then it goes all the way down. In fact, the last 20 kilometres running down into Monza, where there's a massive crowd waiting on the racetrack to see them finish. It's fairly well downhill all the way, and providing this lot stick together, then we could see who is the strongest sprinter of this bunch. But you can never tell with 7 men. They're going to be jumping around, and I must think that right now Kelly's looking so confident. What a disastrous season he's had, though, Sean Kelly, having cracked his shoulder blade early in the year and had to go out of the racing season, and then because he came back in and had that problem in the Tour de France. And here he is with this break. Let's hope he can stay with it, and we'll wait and see what happens.
Eurosport.
Giro di Lombardia, this little group of some 7 men still clear. The gap growing now to we're at well over 2 3/4 minutes, closing up towards 3 minutes, and there's got to be some chasing down to be done from behind, but right now some pretty good riders on the front, and I suspect that probably the marking back in the main field is going on between the Panasonic team, because they have the overall World Cup leader Fondrest in their colours, wearing number 1. They've got no Panasonic riders in this breakaway group, and the man who's lying second overall on the World Cup, Laurent Jalabert, rides for the Toshiba team, and really he's got a lot of work to do today to get back that the title, get in and take the title of the World Cup leader, because he's way down. We start this morning, Jalabert 97 points, Fondrest 106. This in fact will suit the Panasonic team, because here with 7 men away, it's going to take quite a chunk of the time bonuses, sorry, the points award out of the leading group here, and probably make it easier for Fondrest to keep that World Cup lead. So it's all down to points. They start with 25 points and work their way back down to the 20th placed man. And right now, with these top 7 men out there in the group, then it's certainly eaten up a massive lump of points. And in fact, if you go down to 7th place, there's 14 points at stake. So behind them, the rest of the pack will be fighting for the places from 8th backwards. It'll be 13, 12, 11, and so on. So it's a very good move if Panasonic can stay together and hold. Hello, here we go on the Lisolo. It looks as if Bruno Cornelet has decided to say bye-bye. I started putting a picture about what's happening in the main field behind, and off he goes. Well, he's a game chap. I can tell. I remember watching him win a stage in the Nissan Tour of Ireland a couple of years ago, and he did the same thing. He took off towards the end, about the same distance to go, and nobody thought he could hang on, particularly with St Patrick's Hill to be climbed about 4 or 5 times, but he managed to do it, and he's having a little go now at the front. That's a very, very strong abrasive attempt on his part as we've gone up this climb of the Lisolo. At the top of this little conch here, it's 220 kilometres covered, just 20 kilometres from the finish. That's what, about 12, 13 miles or so, and going down the other side. They're likely to do that in summer around about half an hour, I suppose. So maybe we've got another 35, 40 minutes of racing yet to go maximum, as the gap now has opened up considerably. Now somebody's got to chase him down. He's made a tremendously good move here, Cornelet. He's being urged on by the Tifosi. They love to see a strong ride, even if it isn't one of their own men out there. The Italians, great supporters of cycle sport. In fact, all sport, believe you me. They turn out whether it's motor racing, rallying, or in fact now watching the bike race going on. So there we are. The three men behind. Let's see who's been splitting off. Well, earlier on, Sorensen was struggling to stay with this group, and I think he's been shot off now. Volpi's gone. So at the moment, still Kelly's there with Ballerini. This is Volpi, beginning to have difficulty staying with them. And there, Gaillon, Kelly, and Ballerini are the three that have got to do the chasing to catch Cornelet. Nice little move on his part, but look, his legs are beginning to slow down. I think the three behind have just calculated that he'll probably blow up before the top of this very nasty little climb. It just suddenly goes up a bit. It's about something around about 1.5, 2 kilometres maximum on the climb up. And then once they're over the top, there's drop off the other side. And I think the three of them here are gambling on him, just blowing up. Yes, they're pulling him back. He begins to roll quite a large gear. The rhythm seems to have gone. He attacks suddenly and left the three behind, and so that's four men, so another three even further back. Sorensen now being blown out of this little breakaway group. Retzer seems to have taken a bit of pasting, so he's out of it as well. Kelly, Ballerini and Marshal Gaillon. That's Marshal Gaillon in the red shorts, the Toshiba squad. Last time we got to see him in those colours, because this is the end of the Toshiba team. It was announced during the Tour de France that they were going to fold at the end of this year. Cornelet's now caught back, and it's Gaillon that did all the work. Kelly's on his wheel. Well, rumour has it Sean Kelly's going to lead PDM, but they're all rumours at the moment, and probably move to ride for a Spanish team. But as yet, we've not heard confirmation of that one. There's a lot of activity going on in the transfer market at the moment. And Toshiba had hoped to stay together, having got a few successes towards the back end of the season, but unfortunately their team director sportif, Bonavalli, couldn't keep them together, couldn't sell the team onwards. In fact, he's looking for a bidder with £2.5 million to take the Toshiba team on block, and the best offer he got was £1.5 million. So that wasn't enough to keep the team together, and most of the top stars from Toshiba moving off to other teams. So there we are, there's a group of three. So Ballerini's been blown out, Kelly's there, they've caught up with Cornelet, and Marshal Gaillon on the front. Well, this is a hard man's race, and both these two, Gaillon and Kelly, are hard men, believe you me. Kelly is one of the most cagey riders I know. He can judge it to perfection. You just see how he went up there, and he didn't rush after Cornelet. He let Gaillon do the work. He's with Ballerini, and he's just watching this one. He's got a tremendous brain for knowing the strength of the opposition, and when he's in form, he takes them stopping. And of course, those riders who took part in the Nissan Classic, the Tour of Ireland, just about 3 weeks ago, remember his devastating ride on the stage into Cork when we went up that infamous St Patrick's Hill 5-time in the pouring rain, when he and Sean Yates clopped off with about half-minute lead entering Cork, and just completely annihilated the whole of the field. In fact, the friends were saying that Kelly, as the race started that morning, it was chucking it down with rain. They saw him smile. Kelly does smile from time to time. When he saw the terrible conditions on that day, he knew it was his day. Well, the sun is shining now, and Sean Kelly with Gaillon, and they've blown Cornelet. Cornelet is not holding the pace. Well, he started attack at the bottom of the climb, and now he's been blown. It's Gaillon at the front with Kelly. Well, are they going to persist with their attack off the top of this climb? I'd have thought so. Kelly so far hasn't taken any of the lead on the climb up this hill here, the final one. So we started with 7 men, we're now down to 2 in contention as we go up then this climb at the Lisolo, down the other side to Casanelvo, through Lesmo and into Velasanta. This is the last climb. It's up 522 metres at the top above sea level. They drop down to 168 metres, so 522 metres down to 168 metres is the sort of drop they've got to accomplish in the next 20 kilometres. There we go, over the top, down the other side. And Kelly's starting to move on to the front. Well, he's a fearless descender, and Gaillon too. I mean, they're two cracking riders here. They're going to take some catching, but we mustn't discount Ballerini at the back, nor Sorensen. Sorensen was struggling on the climb, but I think if they can regroup the men behind them, notice there's 5 men, and 5 versus 2 in the main field, some 3 minutes back, does say to me that the leaders will have to work hard. But look at that gap. One rider, that's Cornelet on his own. What a devastation on that climb. They've absolutely obliterated that 7-man group. Cornelet started all, now grovelling in 3rd place, all on his own, descending after those 2. And it's really going to take, I think, a lot of action from Cornelet to catch up with these 2. And I should think right now they decide they've got to give it all they've got. Nice sweeping descents. So there we are, still Kelly on the front, and it's 20 seconds is the official gap back to Cornelet. And the last time we looked up for the helicopter shot, the other people, there we are, 28, it must have been to Ballerini, and I should think it's probably getting on the same to the remnants of that group over the top. Well, so what's the main pack then going to do about this one? They must be now something like 3 minutes down on this breakaway twosome, and in 20 kilometres, I don't think it's going to... Here's Cornelet, going to take that sharp left-hander. That gap last time then, about 20 seconds, being urged by one of the... Well, that's Ballerini on his own. Now, Cornelet's got to decide whether he's going to press on and try and catch those 2 up in front, or look back and wait for Ballerini to come up. So we get the races at a very interesting stage at the moment. Are these 2 going to stay away, or will the other 2 come up to get them? And there, the one lone figure still chasing down that hill. What a devastation was achieved on that climb. So just joined us. This is the Giro di Lombardia, and that's Ballerini, who is lying at the moment in 4th place, trying to catch up with the original breakaways, because Kelly went over the top with Marshal Gowan, being chased down by Cornelet, and here's Kelly really putting on the pressure. And just look at the expression on his face. There's a super shot in this about 5 years ago, and Kelly, just look at his face now. And I remember it well, that they had this tape of the Nissan on the time trial stage in Carrick-on-Shore, where he lives. It started in Sean Kelly Square, place, by the way, that Sean says they only name squares in Ireland after patriots or priests or saints who are all dead. But he's still riding already, this fella. And we had that time trial out from Carrick-on-Shore to Clonmel. And later on we saw the tape of the day's activity, and that close-up like then you've got of Sean's face, they actually did some slow motion to some music, and the bead of sweat came down his nose and dropped off the end, and he caught his two of his minute men in front of him in just 12 miles, set an all-time record for the distance from Carrick to Clonmel, the fastest time trial in a major tour at that stage as well. And if you ever get a chance to see that tape, you can just sit and watch it, and just that few, maybe about 5 minutes of action and sound was absolutely brilliant. It sort of makes your heart go. Anybody who's ridden a bike, the old hair standing on the back of your neck just to watch it. Well, Ballerini trying to get hold of Cornelet, and it looks like he's got him now. So Ballerini, winner last year of the Grand Prix Americas, or Grand Prix Montreal, or Grand Prix Telegove, if you like to call it that, because that's the one we covered last couple of weeks ago from Montreal. Ballerini coming back into good form, and here he is lying just behind Cornelet, trying, I think, to restore some of the Italian pride in this race at the moment, because so many of the top riders out of action, can't take part in the race this year. Bugno with his tendonitis, not riding. Indurain, the winner of the Tour de France, is not with us either. And Laurent Fignon has retired for the season. He's going to come back next year riding for Bugno's team, so I think they decided it would be a bit odd for him to ride this Castorama squad when he's virtually now got to put his mind towards Gatorade and riding with Bugno, so he's not in it. And Greg LeMond seems to have packed his bags and gone back to America. He started the Paris Tours last week, but he hasn't entered this particular one, and he's saying he's not too well, too fit at the moment. So that's Greg out for the season. No Gilles DELION either in the race this year, who won it in '89 and was second in 1990. No Eric Van Lancker. I don't know if you caught up with the news, but just before the Paris Tours he was out training and he crashed and broke his collarbone, and that put him out. So Eric Van Lancker, the only man to win 2 of the World Cup events this year, is now out of the racing season, so it's a bit of a shame for the Panasonic, but nevertheless with Fondriest in the jersey as a leader on the World Cup and back in the main pack somewhere. protecting that, so they'll be quite happy, even though unfortunately Van Lancker can't be with us today. So quite a number of non-starters. My friend Alan Piper hasn't made it either for the Tulip squad. I'm in the commentary box, I think, today. And but anybody here just watching this particular two-man group must be very well aware of the experience of both these two riders. I mean, Kelly, probably they call the Cannibal, one of the most successful riders there. And this fellow, Marshal Gaillard, now, winner of the stage, the Tour de France, winner in the stage, the Tour of Italy, second in the Championship of the World in 1988, and a tremendous list of successes that he's got over the years. And so he's, again, a very, very hard man indeed. And it's been a hard man's course today. Back there with this two-man group on the front. Well, there's a lot at stake today. Big prize money to be won. Of course, Sean now the happy father with twins. What they'll be just over 18 months old, I suppose, now. And so he's pedaling away there. He's got a few bobs tucked in the bank, but still his family at home watching this programme. I know you've got your fingers crossed for Dad out there. That's Stacey and Nigel. And asked Sean, I said, Nigel, that's the name of a racing car driver. And he said, yes, we named him after him. So Nigel Mansell's involved in the Grand Prix of this weekend. So the son of Sean Kelly is named after the great motor racing driver. And there's Sean. Looking back, worried about those two men coming up, because Cornelet and Ballerini do constitute a threat. Both of them efficient pedallers, but they're up against some quality riders here with these two. And of course, now down on the flat part of the course, this is where a man with Kelly's ability to roll the gears around. Look at that, he's got on the big sprocket on the outside, 52 ring, and it'll be on around about a 13 tooth at the on the block at the back, and really is pushing on the pedals. So they're looking back down. We can't see the two chasers, but our two leaders are well on the way toward the finish. The PDM car coming up to have a chat. Well, Jan Gilles must be very pleased with this. And what a disappointment it was when his team got eliminated from the Tour de France with that mystery sickness when they ate that rather bad food. So they're on the way down. We're going to have a commercial break shortly. Do come back to us in a couple of minutes. There in the top left-hand corner of your picture, welcome back to the action from the Giro d'Italia. And these two men, the lead growing all the time, something about 25 seconds between them and Ballerini and Cornelet. And well over a minute to the remnants of the group of some 7 men that broke away from the major field. So Sorensen, Volpi, together with Arezzo, off the back trying to chase down Ballerini and Cornelet. And up in front we have these two men setting a very hot pace indeed, Sean Kelly and Marshal Gaillard. Well, Marshal Gaillard on his way perhaps to a birthday present. His birthday's on, coming up on the 16th of November, but he'll have to sort the bold Sean Kelly out if he's going to take home the laurels of victory, because Kelly's got a phenomenal sprint. Gaillard, as I said earlier on, winner of stage in the Tour of Italy and the Tour de France, had 3 successes last year, winning the Tour of Limousine and won a stage in the Tour of Economic Community. So he's no stranger to going across the line in first place. Got 2 great riders here. That long straight road, of course, on a road like this, the chasing twosome behind Ballerini and Cornelet will be able to see the cars up in front. Sure sign that it's getting on towards half minute. Now they're allowing enough vehicles to go in between them, so although they can see them way down the road to give them some incentive, it's a long old way. There we are, look at that, right the way back, and there we have the chasers. So this group then that went away and split on that final climb with 20 kilometres to go. Cornelet started the action. Kelly got up to them together with Gaillard. Gaillard doing most of the work on the climb. Now, I'd say that Sean is probably putting a little bit more pressure on than Gaillard at the moment. Just my judgment sitting here, and I may be entirely wrong, but there you go. Well, they're both taking it in turns. There we are, that's the twosome. Ballerini on the left in the Del Tongo colours, in the yellow jersey, and the Z rider on the right-hand side. Actually, Z Sanson. If you look down there and you wonder whether there's a small Z on the shoulder of Cornelet, normally have a great big Z emblazoned like something out of a child's comic, because of course Z are a chain of children's clothing shops across France and across Europe. Well, they actually got Sanson as a co-sponsor while they're riding in Italy as well, so that's why the jersey is slightly altered. And look at that gap. That has got to be a good half minute, if not more so now. And there are 35 seconds, not a bad guess from when I was sitting here. And 1:20 back to the Retzi, Sorensen and Volpe. And they're not giving us the time check at the moment on the main field. But certainly when they went up that climb that split the whole thing up, it was 2:45. So I think the main pack have decided that's it now. Let this little lot sort out for themselves. Marshall Gaunt, 29 years of age, coming up to the 16th of November. That's him in the red Toshiba colours on his Look bicycle. So, yes, it looks like one of the carbon frame ones that they're using in this day and age. Look, of course, was the people that invented the clipless pedal, which swept across the cycling fraternity a few years ago. But if we get a chance to have a quick shot of Sean Kelly's pedals, you'll see he's got the old toe clips and straps variety on. 9 kilometres to go. Well, something says to me with that short distance to go for the finish that Ballerini and the chaser Cornelet with him are going to have to work hard to cut back that 30-second. I just don't see it happening. Just 9 slender kilometres to go. Less than 6 miles. And they should go across this in probably the speed they're travelling at, not more than about 14 minutes or so. And still both of them working very well together. The officials' cars going wanging their way through down toward the finish. The press now down at the finish, waiting to see the results. Toshiba team car coming up as well. And Kelly drifted across in front, stopping the manager, Werner Valle, from having a chat to his man. He'll soon be able to get across and give him whatever instructions he wants. Well, all you've got to do now is just tell him what that gap is back to following two, and just leave it down to these two. There we are, the 29-year-old Marshall Gaunt up against the, I shouldn't say the grand old man of cycling, but undoubtedly Kelly, the list of victories that he's got to his career. I rather thought this year that if Sean had really got the green jersey in the Tour de France, which he was well placed to do before he let mystery sickness, he might have retired the end this year. But born the 24th of May, another Taurus character in 1956 in Callick-on-Shore in Ireland. There he is. So if my arithmetic is correct, he's 35 years of age now, against the 29-year-old Gaunt alongside him. Both, I say, with enormous amount of success. I mean, Sean started back in 1982. He burst upon the scene mainly when he got the Tour de France points jersey. But I remember watching Sean in the milk race when he won a stage into Stoke-on-Trent. This young Irishman in the green jersey burst from the pack. We weren't used to seeing Irishmen win stages, let alone win them in sprints like that. And we sort of looked at this young fella and thought, hello, there's somebody here to be watched in the future. And sure enough, that's what he did. In fact, he went over to South Africa under an assumed name, as far as I understand, and got caught for racing over there when it was forbidden. And that sort of prompted him to start to go in the pro ranks. And he's never looked back since he went over to race. Di Garibaldi it was who signed him up into pro ranks. A great man, Di Garibaldi, great lover of cycle sports, and he took him under his wing. And I think the way that Sean was nurtured in his early days has paid off over the years. Very canny rider, but he certainly had the right background in the early teams that he rode for. And here we are then at 35 years of age. Gisbert's giving him every encouragement he can do. Well, PDM have had an up-and-down season, really. I mean, Breuking's coming back into form. I wonder how he'll go next week in the Grand Prix de Nation. He doesn't actually qualify at the moment on the list of the positions in the World Cup, but they might well put him in there, as Kelly's still driving on to the finish at Monza. And still on the way down toward the finish, the two-man breakaway group. The information we've got is the gap still around about 30 seconds back to the chasers. Ballerini and the Z rider in there with him at the moment, Cornelet. And further back still, losing even more time, is Volpi together with Retzer and Sorensen. So it could be down just these two riders. And the Italians, not then, unless something terrible happens, going to see an Italian name up in the first or second places. Italy last won this in '87 when Argentin won it. The year before that, Baroncelli won it, and the year before that, it took Sean Kelly in '85 to put his name on the victors list. Tony Rominger, great things have been. In fact, now 52 seconds. It's growing. Tony Rominger riding also for the Toshiba squad. It was thought that he was a tip to win this race today. He won it in '89. If you're watching Eurosport's coverage of it that year, it was a long, lone breakaway. He won by 2.5 minutes from DELION and Luc Ruzen. Ruzen also riding in the race today, but he's not featuring at the moment. DELION won it last year from Pascal Richard, so that was a French win, with Swiss in second place, Mottet being third last year. So the Italians, without Bugno riding, who was second in 1988 behind Charlie Mottet, now we're going to see either a Frenchman or an Irishman win this race. The Italians very much had it as their own, this race, which dates back to 1905, although it's had very many different routes, by the way. It's gone from Como down to Milan, Milan back to Como, now it's Monza-Monza, and very different routes, but it's always been over the same sort of rugged terrain, and then they come back down to the flatlands, and then the sprinters, if they're there, begin to lick their lips. 4 kilometres to go. But it's been won by some very great roadmen in its time. Of course, my great idol, many of Fausto Coppi, won it no less than 5 times. So is Kelly going to get the third victory and move himself up into a group of people? Pellissier won it 3 times, Belloni's won it 3 times, Girardengo's won it 3 times, and the great Gino Bartali, also 3 times winner of the Giro di Lombardia. So Sean will be moving up again into the ranks of the legendary figures of bike racing. Certainly Bartali, had it not been for the war, I suppose, would have been a much greater rider than he was. Well, of course, actually ran the Giro di Lombardia throughout the Second World War, with about the exception of 1 year, 1943 and 44. 2 years, 43, 44. They didn't actually win it, but they were running it right the way through, 41, 42, 45, 46 and so on. I think Coppi had his 4 victories on the trot. So it's a race with great history. And our own Tommy Simpson won this in 1965, so we've got his name up there on the list today in the race. I haven't really found out yet what happened to Robert Miller or Sean Yates. Miller, of course, rode extremely well last year to get in the breakaway group of 5 men into the finish last year. Didn't finish in the top 3, but let's concentrate now on Sean Kelly and Marshal Guéant. You're switched on, then you're down to watch what is going to be a fascinating sprint finish between these two riders. And Kelly, of course, a man who's won that green points jersey in the Tour de France 4 times, and I think is undoubtedly in his day the most demon sprinter there is, but as the years gone by, perhaps a little less sharp than he used to be, but he's been looking very hungry and very fit when I've seen him towards the back end of this year, ever since he recovered from that sickness which took him out of the Tour de France. So let's see if he's got that surge left back in his legs. He also happens to hold, as Sean Kelly, the record for the fastest victory in the Giro di Lombardia, 41.208 kilometres per hour, so he's got tremendous reputation in this race, and so it's up to Kelly then to see if he can add his name to the list, but he's going to have to watch out for this fellow Guéant. There's no doubt about it, Guéant won't give up very easily indeed, and these riders, they race together so often, they often know each other's tactics, and at the moment they've just got to keep that gap between them and the 2 chasers going as best they can do. So Guéant moving through now, stage winner in the Tour de France in '87, won a stage winner in the Tour of Italy in '84, second in the Championship of the World in '88. Whoops, there they go. Sean looked over his shoulder to see what was going on behind him as they switched across the dual carriageway. That was a bit nasty. Winner of the stage in the 4 days of Dunkirk was Marshal Guéant way back in '87, so he's got quite a track record. Paris-Cambert, he won that in '85 as well. He's won the Polymultiplé, he's won the Classico RCN, won quite a number of races in his time, so he's no slouch when it comes to hitting the line in first place. And there they go. Well, Marshal Guéant, useful all-round rider. Sean Kelly, the demon sprint himself. because you never know on a race like this. They've been going for 242 kilometres. And they're now moving into the final kilometre. What strength has taken out of their legs? It was certainly Gaunt who took off up that climb of the Lisolo to break that 7-man group. He's going to try and catch Kelly by moving up to him quickly. Looks as if he faked a move then, and Kelly has now realised that Gaunt is going to try some tricks on him. But I'm surprised actually that Gaunt's taken the lead. Kelly's on the... So Kelly's looking back actually to see where the traffic's got to there. Well, there's the little red kite in the distance. So our little sign Ultimo Kilometro was a little bit advanced of our, so we're now at it. And I think they're more concerned to see where the other two have got to. Gaunt looking back to see how much time they've got to finesse. He moved into the lead. I thought it was rather surprising that he moved so quickly past Kelly. And this is it. Now, we've seen this before when two riders have eased back and decided they're going to wait for the sprint, and thundering up from behind, the two chasers have caught them just going into the final 200 or 300 kilometres, so 200 or 300 metres. Getting quite excited about this one. And Gaunt on the right, tall, slim, elegant rider. Sean Kelly, punchy, strong, demon sprinter par excellence. Multi-stage winners in the Tour of France. He has got all the experience it takes in a situation like this. Although most of his successes have come from bunch sprints. Is he going to add another Tour of Lombardy to his impressive list of successes? He's won some tough races in his time. Race like the Pyro. This is the two men coming up. It's our telephoto lens, by the way, is making it look shorter than it is, but I told you it's happened before when in the last kilometre, which normally a very fast riding rider will do something around about 1 minute and 15 seconds, maybe anyway 1:15. They can slow right down to maybe round about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes, and that does mean then that if you've only got a 50-second gap as they've just got coming in that final kilometre, they've got to start going, and it's Gaunt that's going forward, and Kelly on his wheel on the right hand side, Gaunt on the left, Kelly on the right. Kelly's urged his wheel forward by about quarter of a length. Now Gaunt's gone onto his wheel. Has Gaunt got the right wheel? Can Kelly go to the right? He's got it. Third victory for Sean Kelly. Putting him up there with some of the greats, as he is a great man himself. Ireland will be pleased about that, and I'm sure that his family back at home will be elated too. Kelly has come back with a bang. Third time a victor in the Giro di Lombardy. And here, Bruno Cornelet, who started the attack up the climb of the Lisolo, has with him Baroncelli alongside him. So my mistake, it's Ballerini alongside him. Ballerini's got a superb sprint. He's switched to the left-hand side. He's going to get himself clouted with the baton if he's not careful. Ballerini, to my money, is the stronger of these two. And yes, Cornelet's given up there. So Ballerini gets himself up on the podium in third place for Del Congo. And for the Z team, Cornelet in fourth spot. But he tried very hard on that climb to split the field, and he was the one that did the damage. And what a long gap we've got now before Sorensen comes into sight with Volpi and Retze. The vehicles being urged out the way on this wonderful motor racing circuit. Plenty of signs of fear there as we watch this sprint again. Well, Kelly really got that one. Gaunt tried it, but look at Joe Kelly taking that one. Must be one of the sweetest victories of his career. It's very difficult to determine which is the best, but to come back now after the season of disappointment that he's had when he cracked his collarbone early in the season, sickness at Tour de France, and that disappointment when his brother got killed in a cycling accident. He had three bad things on the trot this show, but he's come back in the finest possible way with the last classic of the season to win it. And here, the man who also started out in fine form, Sorensen, at the front there, in the Ariostea colours, the early leader in the World Cup. He's got with him Volpi on the left, and behind him Retze as well. Sorensen, who crashed in the Tour de France and cracked his collarbone at a time when he was wearing the yellow jersey of race leader, is now coming up here to try and get himself some useful points in the World Cup. He was second in Milan-San Remo, third in the Tour of Flanders. What's he going to get this time? We've already had the first four men over the line, and still Sorensen driving hard at the front. Volpi's on his right-hand side, but Sorensen gets it ahead of Volpi with Retze behind him. And here comes the big pack hurtling in. We've got to watch out to see what Jalabert. There's Fondres in the middle there. He's got to get away from Jalabert. Jalabert is in front of him. It looks like Jalabert, I think, over the line, but I don't think he'll get enough points to pick up the World Cup off the shoulders of Fondres. Still, they were then fighting out for 8th place with some 14 points. I think that Fondres was probably about It was Jalabert, it seemed to be, from my position, to be Jalabert taking it. Fondry was probably about 5 slots back, so he might have lost 5 points on Jalabert, but when they started out this morning, says he, looking through his bits of paper furiously, Fondry at 106 points, Jalabert 97, an action replay again of Kelly's success, but I'm trying to work out the World Cup at the moment, if you'll forgive me. There was 106 to 97, so there's something like those 10 points separate them, and I think that probably that time that Jalabert might have got back something around about an extra 5 or 6 of them, but still Fondry then, for my money, will have the jersey as leader in the World Cup. Another pack coming in. David Rain on left-hand side for the British supporters, riding for the Buckler team. They won the Grand Prix de Libération, the Buckler squad, so they've had some success in the team part of this competition. It didn't affect the overall individual standings, the Grand Prix de Libération, but nevertheless Buckler put up a fine performance to win the team section in that one. That's another group coming in. Lovely shot of the... Here he is. Oh, Sean's up there on the victory rostrum then, and shaking his head, looks as if he can't believe. Well, Sunshine, we've seen it. I hope they put on tape back at home for you, because that was very well worthwhile watching it. And congratulations to him. I'm sure his father, Dan Grant, will be buying them all around the pub in Carrick, I'm sure, tonight. And a lovely family, by the way, the Kellys and his wife Linda and the kids. And I'm going to be carried away, because I think it's tremendous that a man can come back after his disappointments this year when other riders have failed to turn up for all sorts of reasons. Sean always goes in there and rides his heart out. I've never ever seen him just give up without a fight, and he's shown today he can come back with a big bang. Victor then for the 3rd time in the Giro di Lombardia. So that was Sean in success yet again.
Eurosport.
Well, welcome.